one. We're live. All right. Hello, folks. This is the No Nonsense Podcast. I'm your host, Oscar Montiel, along with my co-host, Naim and Oscar. How are you doing, Naim?
Very well, very well. I'm just living life and enjoying life, and had me a really good meal tonight for dinner.
All right. So we brought back Jason Alamillo to talk more tech. So I don't know if we discussed this on air, but if we haven't, we're just gonna let our viewers know that we are starting a new mini series with Jason called Tech Talk with Jason, since Jason and I are very much into tech. Um, and we're gonna kick this episode off. Sorry, my bad. How are you doing, Jason?
Bad boy, bad boy.
It seems that
Whose dog is that?
It seems that someone forgot to leash up their dog.
Boy. Someone let their dog out, man. Really? On the pod? You know I'm scared of dogs. Oh, geez.
Sorry, man. Sorry.
Who's that,
I
your
don't know.
dog?
My mom has a dog here. It's just a neighbor's dog or something.
Oh,
you know?
That scared the heck out of me.
What's up, everybody? How's it going? I'm good. I'm good. Just feeling lively. And I'm training for the work that Naim has me doing, and I'm doing my own podcasts, and it's been pretty good.
All right, so we're gonna kick this episode off with another debate. I know that the last time our debate was, PC versus Mac. Today we're gonna talk more about the iPhone, which is what's better, the iPhone 8 Plus and earlier versions with the home button, or the iPhone 10 and their later versions with the, I don't know what the button is called. Let's just call it the screen lock button, just to, keep it simple. But Jason, what is your opinion with the iPhones now? Home button versus screen lock button.
So when I first got the iPhone, I was very concerned because I pretty much thought, I don't know if having a home button, absent is gonna help me. I don't know the gestures. I don't know if it's even going to work. And just being honest with you, I think I underestimated Apple, because they came up with gestures. It's pretty much you sliding your finger, which you already do to, let's say on VoiceOver, you close an app, or, you activate an app going up and down with your finger, or as a sighted person, you're scrolling with one finger, right? They're not using two fingers. And so for me, I don't think it really makes a giant difference. Yeah, it's really weird when you first get a new iPhone 11, 10, 10s, 10s Max, 11, 10R, 11, 11 Pro, or iPhone 12 to 12 Pro, but or 12 Pro Max. I know I just listed like 25 phones, but I think that because it's all about practice. And to be honest, a lot of us are on our phones every single day. We're watching videos, we're sending messages, we're sending emails, watching weird things like Naim. But you're gonna get used to it. I don't know that there's a better option. Quite frankly, you tend to forget really about the home button. Like there are days I don't even remember that we had a home button until I have my iPhone 8, which I have right next to me, and it feels so much smaller in my hand. And I accidentally, for example, with the home button, you were able to hold it down and talk to Siri. With the iPhone 10 and up, you have to press the lock button down, and then it'll do it for you. Honestly, I made a mistake last week when I was using the iPhone 8 for something, of using the lock button to turn Siri on, and instead it was turning the phone off. So really, you tend to just forget because you're just living life and moving forward. If you feel, and to be honest, before I move on to the next point, you just kind of go with the flow, and it's just like, oh, it just becomes everyday life. I got to swipe up to go to the home button. I got to swipe up a little more to go to the app switcher. Swipe down a little bit for notifications. Swipe down a little bit for your control center. honestly, it makes no difference to me. You get really used to it. And if you feel that, hey, I do need a home button, you can have a virtual home button. To be honest, to me, it just because I have a knack for technology, it's just so easy to get used to.
Naim, what is your take on home button versus screen lock button?
Well, hold on. Before Naeem says anything, the screen lock button is still gonna lock your screen. So the lock on your phone, the little button on the side, is still going to lock your phone. So just be careful how you say that. Um, so
Well, then
for
again,
example, you.
I don't know what to call it.
So Naeem, what are your thoughts of home button versus no home button on the iPhone? I mean, I know you don't have one without the home button. What are your thoughts?
I never messed with any without the home button. I've always been comfortable with the one I have. I press on the home button. I tell Siri, "Hey Siri, what's going on? What's good? What's beautiful?" And we flirt for a little while, and then we move on and continue. But that's pretty much all I'd use the home button for: the three-finger voiceover off, voiceover on, app switcher here and there. But I've never tried the new model. How does the new model work? I think that's such a broad question that I'll have to experience it. But I'm in a position right now where I'm in no particular rush for a phone. So it's been working well
We
for
know.
me. I don't know when I get my new phone. Obviously, when I get my new phone, I want to get with the newest one that's on the shelf at that point. But that's only going to happen once this phone is fully disintegrated.
So
And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I've never really ever used the phone without a home button at all. Period. Full stop.
Naeem. So I'm gonna use a sports analogy. So when I don't even know, the Washington football team uh, needed to get rid of their general manager, the fans started a new hashtag and a new petition: fire Bruce Allen. So you know what? I'm gonna ask our viewers to start up a petition. Hashtag Naeem get a new phone. But anyways, that is neither here nor there. My opinion is, I guess because I don't use it as much. I only use it when I need to. When I need to get into my mom's phone for any reason. I just find it inconvenient because I'm so used to the home button being the fingerprint on my phone instead of facial recognition. And that's another debate I want Jason to try to counteract. Is with someone who's blind, you don't know what face you're making at the time when you record your face your facial recognition. But with your thumbprint or fingerprint, you just need to make sure that your finger is clean. So I always found it hard to unlock my mom's phone with because the fingerprint was gone. Her For some weird reason I had trouble unlocking it using the 4-digit code or whatever. So I just found the home button very convenient, and because the side button just I didn't know how to what commands or whatever they're called to use, just because I was never familiar with it. But Jason, what is your take on that? Fingerprint versus facial recognition, or do you use that at all?
Well, of course I use it. I'm a big on privacy. A few things. Let me unpack that a little. 'Cause I need to. First off, the side button is used, for example, that's how you click 3 times for either bold text or voiceover on and off, or inverted colors, or for other disabilities. It is if you double click it, it brings up Apple Pay, or it lets you download an app. If you triple click your home button, it brings up the same accessibility shortcuts. If you double click your home button, it brings up the app switcher, or it uh, for example, if you're doing Apple Pay and you put it next to a reader, then you double click your home button. The same gestures in terms of pushing the button that you use for your home is the same things you're gonna do for your lock button. The only difference is like for the app switcher, you're just swiping. We already do that, right? And it's just a matter of getting used to it. You spend an hour on that, and when it's your phone, it's a lot easier than trying to use someone else's phone. Um, it's really uh, okay. Let me put it this way. When you're on that, I think my opinion is they're both insanely secure, but it's how you hold the phone and it's how you station your face. It's about muscle memory. It works. And the passcode thing, I think that's an operator error, man, because I have zero issues. Even when I first got it, it was like, boom, right? And uh, so the same things you can do on the home button now, you can do without the home button. And by the way, they do have a virtual home button, which is basically an electronic home button that you can press in the middle of your phone. If you felt so desperate to turn that on, but just being honest, right now, I'm doing the app switcher and I went back into Skype. I'm doing the home button and I just got out. Now I'm gonna swipe down, go to my notifications. It's that easy. You're just using your finger from the bottom to the top or the top to the middle or bottom of your phone. So it makes no difference, and it's honestly easier to understand when it is your phone. When you can sit down with it and you can spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours on it, just practicing it without anyone saying, "Hey, give me back my phone." It's so much easier. It's not anything that you have to worry about. Naim, I know I explained a lot of gestures to you, but that's essentially how it works. Face ID, I like Face ID. Um, Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that's because I'm blind. And you can limit like the attention. There's a little thing called attention where it unless you're looking at the screen, it needs to pay attention to the depths of your face, and it recognizes your face whether you have a mustache, whether you have a beard, whether you have a mullet, whether you have a pimple, whether you have a giant nipple on your eyebrow. I don't, you know, it recognizes your face. You don't have to make a smiley face, an angry face. That's not what it records. It records the dimensions of your face. So when you look at it, and I have a lot of blind friends. I'm blind, and I use it. All you have to do is station. I'm doing it right now. Station your face in a certain way, and then it unlocks. And it's really easy and simple.
Oh,
That
so
when you get it and you use it, it's like that much easier. Like you're just always using it. So
so it doesn't matter if you blink, because here's the thing. So my eye condition, due to like the nerves being damaged, I can't control my eye movement. So that's what
I
I'm that's
can't
what I'm
either.
afraid of. So does it matter, or does
I mean, it really doesn't, because either way, you're still kind of staring at it no matter what, especially the way you position your head and the phone. It's all becoming muscle memory that when you're unlocking your phone, you're gonna. It's like when you watch a sport, right? And you sit down on your couch. I sit on the couch and I lean back. I just lay all the way back on my couch, stretch out, right? And I position my head to where the TV is. It's muscle memory. So even though your eyes are moving, and either way they're gonna look at. As long as you position your head, it's gonna look at the phone no matter what.
yeah, that's good. The reason why I ask is that I'm thinking of getting the iPhone 12 whenever it comes out. Just because.
I'm gonna be jealous if you do, man.
Yeah, I don't. I want to see. I'm curious to see if the 5G, you know, if it's worth it or not. Just
Now
because.
it's not gonna be. Sorry to interrupt. It's not
No,
gonna
yeah,
be
yeah, go
like
ahead.
real 5G like what they're building in China. They're still working on that stuff over there, and that won't be around until at least 2025. The extremely compact, fast chip. But what they're talking about at AT&T, they're calling 5GE, for example, 5GE, or the 5G capabilities that are going to come in this iPhone 12. I understand it. I don't think it's the full capacity, the full strength, the full uh, ferocity, if you will, of the 5G like we think of it, what they're developing with Huawei and China and stuff like that. Correct me if I'm
What's
wrong,
gonna be?
Jason and Oscar.
Yeah, Oscar, do you want to take that
Uh,
one?
Jason, since you posted your video on since you did a video on this, I would like to have our viewers maybe that don't watch your channel or watch that
Should.
didn't see that video. So I would like to get your take on that. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a difference. So right now we have 4G LTE, right? That's your cellular. That is what's in the towers. That is what we can provide. That's the energy, right? That is your cellular data. 4G took a while to get here. What they're talking about is for when you're loading data, when you're loading videos, when you're sending a text message, when you're receiving a text message, when you're everything is going to be that much faster, milliseconds faster, right? And with the iPhone 12, they are putting in technological chips and electronic technological capabilities that will make the iPhone 12 even faster, even more powerful, and it will prepare it so that when anything 5G ever comes out, let's say AT&T makes its towers 5G, the iPhone 12, which is going to be equipped as well, like the iPhone 11 Pro with Wi-Fi 6 and all that, it's going to be able to withstand the 5G capabilities, because in order for you to have 4G on your phone, they need to make sure they put the necessary chips and wiring and all kinds of goodies like that in the phone, so that when new 4G capabilities and features come out, your phone doesn't go, oh my God, what's going on? Right? Whereas now they're going to put in new 5G capabilities to make your phone even faster. And so when the cell phone towers start getting 5G LTE, your phone's not going to be debilitated by it, and it's going to just continue on as if. And the technological advancements inside the phone are going to give it that much more capability and power to be able to, again, I'm going to use the word withstand it, right? That's basically what's going to happen. Is it's preparing the phone so that, yes, it's going to have 5G capability, so your phone's going to be even faster than normal. But it's when cell phone towers and companies and everywhere around you starts incorporating 5G in their networks, real 5G, authentic 5G, it's not going to strain the iPhone or the iPhone's processor or its chip or its battery. It's going to be able to withstand it.
Good to know. So with the unless there's anything else to be added to this debate, Naim, do you have anything else to add?
I mean, I think it sounds like I just have to simply, whenever I get around to it, and the need is called upon for me to get a new phone, I'll go ahead and get a new phone. And like I said, my goal will ultimately be to get the newest phone on the shelf at the time. I will have no choice but to upgrade from one with the home button to one without the home button, unless they go back to the home button again in the way future, whenever it is that I get a new phone. Maybe I'll get a new phone around iPhone 14, 15. So allow me to ask, what was the so I don't know, I guess I don't know that it would be easy or not be easy. I don't know that I'm in a fair position to answer that, because I never even got the opportunity to lay my finger on a phone that doesn't have the home button, so I'm not sure how those phones feel. Allow me to ask, what was the inspiration to removing the home button? Was it just for compact sake? Was it a looks thing, an aesthetic thing? Was there a deeper technological meaning? And what else? What other aesthetic or non-aesthetic new things can we expect in the iPhone 12?
It was kind of a universal thing. It's just that people thought, well, we do everything with the home button. It's kind of like when BlackBerry was like the top badass phone of the time in 2006 and 2007, along with the Motorola, the Nokia, and every other phone. Everyone was like, oh, you can't get rid of the plastic keyboard. You got to keep the plastic keyboard. You need the plastic keyboard. And then Apple said, I can't curse on here, right? So F you, we're gonna give you a giant screen. And like, oh shoot, wow, this is nice, right? So it was for aesthetics. It was to make it more compact, but it was also people, especially the sighted world, right? People who can see, are interested in the screen to screen, edge to edge display. How big is your screen? How much more can you fit on that screen, right? And it was just more for, ease, ease of access. And I think it was all of that you mentioned, the aesthetics, the compactness. I think it was just like, hey, new look. And by the way, Android and Samsung have both been doing the same exact thing. So it's a new thing that, the market's got to change, just like the stock market, right, Naim? I mean, you can have the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, the Dow Jones, right? And they can continue some of their same old methods. But after the 1930s, it changed. After the 1950s, it changed. And it's like with your stock portfolio. You're thinking, I invest a lot in technology. I want to go and invest in vehicles. Now, let me go to Tesla, right? You're upping the ante in your stock so that maybe when you sell off, or the market falls off the face of the earth or a cliff, and you buy a bunch of stock, and even though it's worth nothing, then when it shoots back up, it's worth a lot. You up the ante, you changed it up a little bit. Or a business, right? Right now, we're seeing a lot of businesses transition to cashless vending machines. You're seeing contactless delivery. It's all about being in the moment, and just everything that you mentioned plus what I mentioned combined. And I'm sure others will have a certain answer that's different than mine as well. But it's part of all of that. Um, you know.
So, so I heard that also. So, I remember when the iPhone 7 came out, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, we're gonna get rid of the extra headphone jack or whatever." And I was thinking why are you gonna get rid of that headphone jack? And then I think from what I understood from the conversation that I was having with an instructor at the time, is saying they were trying to make the iPhone a little bit more either waterproof or water resistant. I don't know if that argument can be held as well with the home button as well, but yeah, I don't know.
Well, it's part of that is, I mean, the iPhone's always going to try and be more water resistant. Part of it is also giving you more space to do more with your display. That's Apple's argument. That's Samsung. That's Google. That's Android's argument is we want to give you more space to do more with your display, right? And with the 44 millimeter headphone jack, or 45, whatever it was because it was as powerful as ever. I mean, that's been used for decades now because it carries so much technological power. You could plug in a microphone, you could plug in a drive, you could plug in headphones. With this one, it just makes it more sleek. It makes it better. It makes it so that you can use, again, even making it more compact, you can use your charger and the charging port to plug in your headphones, and you can even charge your phone with it. Um, and also because a lot of people are moving into wireless headsets. You see people walking around now with AirPods, with Beats X, with Bose, with Skull Candies, with uh, the big Beats or Sony's or whatever, right? And a lot of them are wireless. You don't really need the headphone jack, and the charging port carries 10 times, 5 to 10 times more power than the millimeter headphone jack that we had before. So it's just about one, power; two, being compact; three, being a little bit more useful with space, not taking it up too much, being able to fit more in the phone. So part of it could do with the water resistance. That I'm not too sure on that one, but I mean, yeah.
Well,
It's
that
very
was.
cool stuff.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, it's very cool stuff how these phones evolved. We went from those 1980s phone booths to the really large cell phones of the late 1990s and the pagers to those like Motorola Razr type phones to the first like circular iPhone to the Siri integrated iPhones with the 4S to the bigger iPhones with all that 6 plus, 7 plus, 8 plus, like that plus size to where we are now. And I think it's really going to be cool stuff to just, for me anyway, to sit back and just watch where things go. That's also why I'm never in a rush to get a new phone, is because, just I want to see this thing evolve and pick it up when it's its best, and it'll never be at its best because there's always something new to be added. I did want to say as a side note, just as a PSA to everyone here, in terms of stocks, I know it's unrelated, but in terms of stocks, Amazon hit $3,200 per share as of Friday's closing bell. So that's really, really good news for investors in Amazon. And I think it's only going to go up. So, continue to buy in. You may feel it's overvalued now. With my limited experience, would like to say it's not overvalued yet. It's only going to grow, but man, that's a behemoth of a company, and it's showing that it's going to be more so a behemoth of a company as COVID continues and as time progresses. So, great hopes and faiths in Amazon, and then we saw Tesla cross the $1,000 mark a couple weeks ago, and too much good stuff. But yeah, in terms of phones, it sounds like it's worth me giving it a try when I get my new phone, to play around with the idea that there's not a home button when I get my new phone. It's just a matter of when. And I really do love this SE. Him and I share many memories. Him, her. I don't know if there's a gender assigned to the phone, but
They
we share
released a
plenty of
new SE,
memories.
right?
Huh?
They released a new SE with Touch
Yeah.
ID. It has a
Yeah.
really, 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 really nice camera. It's
Yeah.
got a lot of storage space where you don't have to back up your phone all that much. It's
Yeah.
not a phone where I'll send you some links. I have it, but let me ask you this question: if anybody, let's say me, Oscar, a friend, a family member, if anyone bought you a phone, right? Let's just say in the
Or
future,
gifted
right?
you
And
a
you still
phone.
had that
Or
phone, and you're like, hey,
gifted you a
or
phone.
gifted
Let's just
you a phone and said, Naim, like if I called you and said, Naim, you can't say no to a new phone. I bought you a 256 gig iPhone 12 Pro. It's on its way to your house right now. Would you store it, or would you be like, well, someone got me a new phone, I guess I gotta use it?
So I really love the gift, and I'll appreciate the gift. I will use it, but I won't use it until this phone in my possession does really run out. So say I get it in the mail. Oh man, thank you. You're amazing. But if my SC is lasting for another year and a half, that's cool. And then after that year and a half, I'll whip out the new phone and
Uh,
totally
uh,
use it.
great. He's gonna keep it
Jesus
in.
Christ.
He's gonna keep it in the box. Somehow that box is gonna get lost, and then he'll never use that phone ever again. But
No,
any,
I
no,
know.
no, no,
but
no, no,
Man.
no. I
You
will
know what?
make
I'm just
sure
gonna buy
I.
myself the phone. I would buy myself the phone. You know what? Let me ask you this, Naim. If
Yes.
I went out and I got you an Apple Watch, right? And I said, Naim, it's in the mail. You can't say no. I got you an Apple Watch. Would you use it, or would you just leave it in the box? It's not replacing your phone, by the way. I'm just saying, Naim, I got you the new Apple Watch.
If I find use for it, I'll use it. If I don't find
Oh,
use for it,
uh,
I will liquidate it for value. So I'll trade it in, get some
oh
Apple
hell
credit,
no.
and in the future
uh,
get a new phone when my phone dies out. Here's the thing: I
Oh
love
no, no,
gifts.
no.
No, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be rude here. I love gifts,
No, I know
but I
you're not, but
also
we're just like, oh, this
I just
hurts.
no.
yeah,
It's
Naeem,
not
that
that I don't intend to
yeah,
show. I don't intend to show
that kind
disrespect.
of
I just am not one to have like 6,000 pieces of technology. I had me a nice brown note touch. I never touched. It got dusty. I had an Apex before that I only cared about once was gone. When it was with me, I barely even touched it. And it's like I only use one piece of technology for everything. And right now that piece of technology that I use for everything is my phone. Whenever I need to use my laptop, I'll use my laptop. But you know, it's mainly I try to be a minimalist when it comes to technology, when it comes to just living style. I have 7 or 8 different very neutral clothes pairs, khakis, polos, black, dark colors, neutral. I got me a few very fair neutral suits and ties. I like to just keep it minimalist, and it's not that I'm skimping on myself. I'm not skimping in any way, shape, or form. I'm not going to use 16,000 pairs of khakis. I'm just going to use the same 7 or 8 so long as I'm washing them, doing my laundry, remaining clean and sanitary. I think it should be fine. And once stuff start to wear
So,
down or
so
wear out, and once stuff start to wear down and wear out, I put it up. I say, okay, I don't need to use this anymore. So that's
so let
basically
me
how
ask
I
you
try to
a
do it.
question.
Yeah.
So what if I said, Naim, you can't say no, it's in the mail. You don't need that Windows laptop anymore. I got you a brand new MacBook Pro, let's say 2021. It's got all these. It's got 32 gigs of RAM. It's got 256 megabytes of memory storage. It's got 2 terabytes, or it's a quad core. It's got a Core i5 or a Core i7 processor. It's an awesome Mac. You're gonna love it for your work. It's gonna be a great work laptop, and you can do school and work on it. Would
Well,
you
then
use
again,
it, or would you shelf it too?
I
Yeah,
already
of
got.
course I would use a Mac. Of course, of course. That I would
Oh,
use the
Jesus
first day I
Christ!
get it.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Really? You don't
yeah.
even use your. Here's the thing, Naeem. You don't even use the laptop that you have now. You use Ira. So
Well,
think about.
No, no,
I
that doesn't
use
matter. I'm just
Ira, I
saying.
use my phone, and when I need to, I use the laptop. But no, I'm going to use a Mac. Of course, I'm going to liquidate the laptop. What I mean by that is I'm going to go ahead, sell the laptop for what it's worth or what I could get value out of it, take the cash, and I don't know, maybe reinvest the cash in a couple of stocks or buy me a nice dinner or go on vacation with it. Like, I'll
But you,
jack the
but you
cash,
would, but you would use the Mac then.
Yeah. I don't know that I'll use the Mac more than I use the laptop I have now. I'll use it just
I
as
mean, you're,
much, you know?
yeah. I mean, either way,
Which
it's a
is
Mac,
not
and you're
not
gonna
much at
realize it's
all, to
gonna be
be
really good.
honest.
I
Yeah,
know.
no,
So
it
Naeem,
isn't much
hold on,
at all. I
Naeem.
use my phone the most. Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah.
so let me ask you this. I'm just asking because you're making me cry. Except with the Mac, you stopped my tears for a little bit. If I called you and said, Naeem, it's already in the mail, you can't say no. I bought you the new AirPods Pro. Would you use them?
If I give them a try and I love them, why of course I'll use them. I have these Bluetooth earplugs I use on occasion here and there these days. And I really like them. I like to walk around my room, work out, exercise as my phone is sitting on the charger, and listen to some dance music, twerk a little, drop that booty down low, and just enjoy myself. So yeah, of course, something like a Bluetooth. I haven't tried AirPods. AirPods, like the Apple AirPods. I haven't tried those, but I want to bet they're really good. And I'm pretty
Oh,
sure,
they're
yeah,
so
if I
great.
if I get one in the mail, I'll like it. I'll use it. So I think, you know, I think for me, if it's there and if it's something I could find use of or find pleasure or luxury in, I'll use it. But like, you gifting me a new phone would be very appreciated, but why do I need to give up my old phone while it's still working? I will give up my old phone once it stops working, and then I'll open up the new
You
phone or
know,
buy a new phone or whatever the situation may
You know,
be.
Jason. I
we
think
were
that
we were talking.
I think we need to segue now. Just because.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, we're gonna segue into our next segment. So we've been getting what do you want to call it? Fan mail or fan
Questions
questions
or
regarding technology, and we are gonna take the time to answer some of the questions. Um,
like a Q&A.
yeah, like a Q&A, and so I guess I can start off by reading the first question. And the question asks, for the Amazon Echo, how does it collect our data? Does it collect it in a constant stream? Is it constantly recording or voice? And does the device have any way of attaching voices to identify? Oh, sorry. To what? To
Identities or person.
identities or persons?
You want me to take this one?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I'm just gonna put it this way. So first, Amazon is a company that's gonna say that on their website that their devices are not going to use any of your data, and um, they will do absolutely everything they possibly can to protect your privacy. But um, the way they collect your data is by recording you. It is a smart speaker. It hears uh, everything you say and everything you do. So, normally Amazon Echoes and tablets, they keep a record of everything you say, request, and do. It is only supposed to record when it hears you say Alexa, but they have been, known to record you, even if you are not asking it to do anything for you. It will still record you. Even again, there's my Alexa. It just went off. uh, it will still record you, even if you mute the microphone. There are things that can trigger it to wake. So like any discussion of medical issues or even conducting business deals, whatever you do in your home, it is going to know if you let it control your home. So let's say you're letting it control your lights. Maybe you're letting it, change the color, change the temperature, set how your lights turn on and off all day throughout the day. Let's say you're letting it control your doors, closing them, locking them, if you can do that, or anything else. It will record all of that information and it's sent to Amazon. Oscar, do you want me to keep going?
I just want to go over some issues with that. So some issues that we see here is that data, anything that's recorded, data, anything can be at risk. A family that has Alexa can actually accidentally send a recorded conversation to a random, I don't know, contact, and it gets worse. Since Amazon doesn't keep your conversations private, judges have even asked for warrants of Alexa recordings. Amazon employees have even listened to recorded Alexa conversations to training its AI apps, and Amazon has even acknowledged that they even have location access. Now, one writer from the Washington Post, commented on how Apple own stance for privacy takes Siri for Siri. It does record.
Can I talk about this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, I just wanted to comment because I study Apple all day, every day. So, basically, this writer comes in and says, "Well, take Siri for example, right? So, let's take Siri. It does record your information, but instead of keeping that record with your identity on it and attaching a identity to it, it attaches a different random identifier, which could be a code or something else like that, like numbers, and it doesn't know exactly who made that request." Now, I like this article, but he just pissed me off when he said this. So something he said is that he doesn't understand why Apple doesn't ask you permission if ask you for permission if it in order to record you and send audio analytics to Apple for training and other things like that. But I'm just gonna say this: he obviously must not have an iPhone, because you can do that, and it does ask you immediately every time you get on your phone and you're setting it up. It'll ask you, "Hey, Apple would like to send analytics." It'll send analytics to Apple. Can we use it? Right? You can say yes or no. It's not like a. It's not like a. It's just gonna take your information like Google does.
By the way,
so yeah,
what's better, Amazon Alexa or Apple's Siri? In context of trying to get info.
I think Alexa allows more info in terms of different things. I think Amazon is a more powerful smart speaker, but and Apple's HomePod is not. But to be honest with you, I'd rather that than foregoing my privacy. So Apple makes this strong stance of privacy, and it says, I'd rather make my speaker less intelligent than Alexa or Google Home or Google Mini, in order to preserve your privacy. And it keeps going off. So all the data that is collected and is sent to a cloud that the employees of Amazon can then pull from and use. Do you want to talk more about that?
Before we do talk about that, Naim, do you have anything to add or ask?
Um, yeah, I mean, all that sounds like pretty cool stuff. Does anyone know how the Google Home or the Google Home Mini or the Google line of smart speakers um, works? I'm gonna sound very dumb and illiterate and ignorant here. What I do like about the Google line of smart speakers as compared to Alexa is the voice quality, the volume quality when it plays music is much better, honestly, in my experience. But how does it work in terms of analytics? Is it any smarter than Alexa? Is it smarter than the Apple HomePod or whatever that one is called? I know you say Apple, Jason, you say Apple does a really good job at respecting privacy and encrypting the data and making sure that it's all coded with numbers so the data can't be stolen or won't be beneficial to whoever steals it if they do ever succeed in stealing it. So the Google Home and that line of smart speaker products, how exactly does that compare or size up to something like an Alexa? Because if I were to invest, I would invest in one. And so far, again, being naive, I guess, in this regard, I just know that the voice and volume quality, the powerfulness of the music voice type thing, the audio voice, is really, really good on that Google Home Mini. And that's a tiny little device for what? $59, $69, 49,
Yeah,
99, something like that.
so my brother got that, and just because I'm a music quality type of guy too. I like audio and production and all of that. I would say that both Alexa and Google are smarter than
Siri.
the HomePod, but I think the HomePod has a louder volume. HomePod's a little more bassy. You got more bass, which is something I really like. You don't want to have a nice hip hop song going, and you're like, man, this barely has any bass. You can barely hear the drums or the synths or anything. Syncopated beats or whatever. And I know I got all musical on you, but I would think that if you said, "Hey Alexa, set a timer for 25 minutes." Okay, here's a timer for 25 minutes. Alexa, if you have a smart microwave, Alexa, set the microwave for 2 minutes. Okay, I'll do that. Google, hey Google, set the microwave for 2 minutes. Okay, I've set it for 2 minutes, right? They do essentially the same things. Now, in terms of the analytics, let's go ahead and get into that because I think it's very similar, very, 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 very similar to Amazon. Do you want to talk about how the data Amazon collects is set to a cloud that employees can use, Oscar? Do you want me to start it?
Yeah, go ahead. Just because again, you're a guest,
Mm-hmm.
so I'll just either echo what you have to say or ask
Well, I
or
mean,
add to.
if you wanna read it, because it starts with it does understand who is talking to it.
Oh, it does understand who it's talking to, especially because you can set it up the way that you want it. And there are new features with different. I know that Siri with different updates, different phones. Um, you can make it recognize your voice and your playlist. Like for example, I know I can tell Siri. Unfortunately, I don't have Apple Music, so but I've seen it. Been done. Hey Siri, play this song in my playlist or something like that. So that yeah.
Yeah, and just to expand on that, Alexa, Amazon played commercials on TV all the time in 2018, where it was like, "Hey Alexa, play this," and whatever song would come on, 80s or whatever, and then a girl would come up and say, "Oh yeah, we'll play my playlist." You can set it up to identify your voice. Um, Now, there's another question if you want to go over that one.
Naeem, do you want to
From,
ask that question?
Yeah, so a new viewer asked a question. I'm not sure if Naim can pull that up.
Yeah, so I'm looking here. I'm looking here. I do want to thank all the viewers, of course, for their willingness to
Are you
throw
there?
in some questions here. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
So yeah, it's good that they threw in some questions to guide us along here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do want to thank them for sure. Let me look at this. Oh man, we have so many good questions here. All right. Un momento, por favor. Please teach me Spanish, y'all, as I open up this window here.
Sí, señor, un momento. Por favor, agarra las preguntas y a lo mejor podemos contestarlo con lo mejor que podemos. Naim is sexy.
Is that what that translates to?
Mm-hmm. Ay, ay, ay. Do you want us to ask the question?
Yeah. And then whenever you get the hang of the new window, you can ask the question. So the next question asks, does it divide data into separate profiles if you have a household with an Alexa device? Does it recognize the different voices and collect data on them too? Question. Please, for future reference, please do not start any question with it or does it, because we probably sometimes won't know what it means. So please specify.
Well, I mean, I kind of do. I got it because we're talking about the same topic. I'll just jump in and say the plain answer is yes, simply yes, because again, we just went over how it records your voice, it identifies you, and we're going to go into exactly how Amazon does this. Essentially, as my Alexa has asked before, hey, do you want me to work on recognizing your voice? Let's try it. It does recognize your voice. It will send it off to Amazon. So when you ask it to play your playlist versus Oscar's playlist or versus Naim's playlist, or me and my sister have two different playlists we listen to, it'll know, okay, that's Jason, or that's Emily, that's Oscar, that's Naim, that's Jack, that's Jill, whoever, right? Jane. It's gonna realize who that is. So obviously, I would say the answer is yes. I don't know. Oscar, do you have a opinion on that one?
No. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. So I guess.
Naim?
Right. Yeah. No. I mean, that's that's pretty cool stuff. I'm being enlightened here, minute after minute. So I really do appreciate that.
Did you get the hang of the window?
Yeah, I was able to pull up the tab here. Using voiceovers is pretty nice. We should talk about screen readers in a future episode of a future segment of Tech Talk with Jason. So I have a nice question here that I think kind of touches on, more the business side of things. A viewer who must have an entrepreneurial mind, sort of like Jason, myself, and Oscar. Yeah. And the question reads here.
I would go in order.
What makes Apple decide?
I would.
Yeah, he's got the right question.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, by the way, Jason, Jason, I don't know if you don't mind, when he finishes the question, answer as much as you can, because I gotta go to the bathroom because I drink a lot of water before we went live.
That's the advantages of doing things live, huh?
Yeah.
So I'll be right back.
I've been sitting here eating some chicken sandwiches, getting my second dinner actually, because earlier I had, like I said in the beginning of the episode here, I had a really good dinner of Chipotle, and oh man, that was amazing.
Okay, can I curse on here, or is that not allowed?
We bar access on my podcast, to folks under
we curse
17. Yeah, we bar access to folks under 17. I personally am not the most stringent when it comes to language. We do like to have respect, but things happen. We slip, we do. So yeah, no, it's not. We're not in no military boot camp here, so you don't have to say yes sir, yes ma'am, yes sir.
Because my podcast, my podcast. You've heard my podcast. I curse up a storm, but with good points. I just say fuck Chipotle. Chipotle is not good. Their carne asada is not good. Their food is not good. It doesn't taste real. I mean, I've been to some restaurants that claim they're Mexican. I can take those. Chipotle is just god awful to me. I hadn't had it in over 7 years, and then Isaiah, my brother, got it, and I regret spending that $20 or whatever I spent. I honestly, if there's $20 I wish I could take back, other than when I went to that donut shop and it wasn't too good, is that's the only time I want to take back money for donuts is Chipotle. Anytime I spend on Chipotle, I just wish I could take it back. What kind of sandwiches are you eating? What's in that chicken sandwich?
It's a standard chicken with some sauce, barbecue, and some ketchup, and a nice. It's
Oh
on
my
a nice
god.
roll, like a dinner roll bread bun, very buttery and flavorful. I figured I needed me a second dinner because I've been having a big appetite today. Between beef and eggs in the
Yeah, me
morning to some really good chicken and
too.
steak, and then I got that Chipotle.
Oh.
So you have the advantage of I don't want to say this, but you do have the
Oh.
advantage of one being Mexican, two being not too far from Mexico border, being in Las Vegas, Nevada, and you guys have a high Mexican population. Here, right outside of Washington D.C., there are a few quote unquote good Mexican spots, but it's hard to
Mhm.
find something good. So when you come out here, when we meet up out here in D.C., you're gonna have to show me some. I'll show you what they claim are good spots, and you let me know whether they actually are. But
Yeah.
are
Let's
there
ask the
some nice
best
spots in
question.
Vegas? Okay, all right. Let's go.
Oh yeah, there's Roberto's, there's Rivas, there's a taqueria, which is like a place where they do like different types of tacos and all that. But we can get on that another time. You want to ask the next question? This is from another viewer.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm back.
Okay, welcome back. Welcome back. All right, let's ask this question here. What makes Apple decide to not collect people's data and to protect the rights to their privacy and their data? So, are there loopholes? Good question. Are there loopholes?
So I can just Oscar. I mean, do you want me to take this one just because
I guess I
I mean,
can. Hold on. I just I lost my spot. Give me 1 second. I lost the
here,
question here on my
I'll
own
I'll
screen.
I'll read it and then
Oh,
you can jump in.
yeah,
Oh, okay, go
I
ahead.
got it here. Um, so what can be found? There are no loopholes. Apple doesn't ever compromise on privacy, and what we're going to touch on, later on, hence the reason why they're beefing with the FBI because they're more concerned with customers' privacy. They make privacy front and center from the start to the end of the finished product. The main most important reason for their stance on privacy is that they believe it is your fundamental human right. All of the information on your phone, everything you do, including your personal information, is all on your Apple device. So your heart rate after running, which news stories you read, what websites you visit, where you buy your blast coffee or your call, your email, or your message, none of it is ever sent to Apple, especially if you don't want it, especially if you don't want that information, to Apple. They don't do things at the expense of your privacy. They want uh, protection and you to maintain that, and they give you the tools to do so. Jason, do you want to pick up where?
Naim, do you have a question?
Yes, I do have a question. So, obviously, Apple's one of the big boys when it comes to tech, right, and innovation.
Hmm.
So, if they have incentive to do that, and their incentive is customer protection, and therefore customers are very satisfied consuming Apple products, what is preventing or what is incentivizing other companies to make your data accessible, to maybe sell that data, if it's so against Apple's policy, and it's whatever they're doing, it's still working out for them and they're profitable like there's no tomorrow. Why is it that other big tech companies rely so much on the buying and selling of data, or is it just their business model is different?
That That is the main thing, is that Apple and Facebook and Google and Oracle and Microsoft and all those places, they're all, they're all different businesses, so they have a different business motto, and as they
Yeah.
should, right? Um, and so part of it is profit. They see that, hey, I can make more of a profit. Another thing too is like companies like Facebook, they don't make hardware. All they do is they rely on advertisements, which right now they're suffering right now because corporate America is not buying Facebook ads because of their stance on free speech, which let's not get into that. But they also rely on selling data, and I think one of the main reasons why is they don't mind selling your data. It's not a big deal to them, and they see a lot of profit when data collecting agencies are willing to spend hundreds of billions of dollars a year buying your data and selling it off. Also, these companies, as we discussed in part one of our series, they work hand in hand with law enforcement. They work hand in hand with the government. The government pays for a lot of that data, and so I would say one of their main things is they're able to. I think the business model is different. The policy is different. They don't mind selling your data because they don't sell a lot of hardware. Amazon does, and Amazon, even if you sell a lot of hardware like Amazon, because they have their warehouses where we all order from, and they see a profit. Wherever a business sees a profit, they're gonna take it. And Apple sees a profit of, okay, I can sell you an iPhone, a Mac, a TV, an Apple Watch, um, you know, whatever product I sell. And I can also sell you services. I can sell you a credit card, make you apply for that, which then you're going to use to buy my products. I can give you Apple News Plus to get magazines and all of that. I can give you all of that. Again, it's different business models and different ways of seeing profit. Now, going back on privacy, so Apple has you put in a digit passcode to unlock your device. You can let it like for example, you can let it reset after 10 times and deny you access for some time. Like I've had it where
Sometimes,
by accident.
and also so if I'm not mistaken, 3 times is you can't log into your phone after, I don't know, a minute, and I think 5 times it's you can't get in after 5 minutes, and then I think from what you're saying is 10 times.
Yeah, so there's different ways you can set it up. So for example, I reset it 10 times by accident, and it basically reset my phone to where it denied me access because it gives enough time for people to, if they're trying to steal your data, it's obviously null and void to them. They can also make it delete your data after a certain amount of times, after a certain amount of tries. Like, I have it set to 10. You can even enroll in Face ID or Touch ID, which are the two most secure ways of keeping your mobile devices safe. You can even do a number and letter passcode in any combination and in any length. So on my Mac, I have a 10-character passcode. Ain't no way anybody's looking at that going, I absolutely know what numbers and letters he used. Whatever you're doing,
On the
Apple
iPhone, though, I think
doesn't.
isn't. I have a question. Before. So
Yeah.
for iPhone, the most I've seen is 6. Can you go more than 6 on the phone or no? Because I've only seen 6 on the phone. Four
I
to
think you can. If I'm not wrong, I think you can, and I'm pretty sure you can. I think one of my friends has a 38-character passcode, and there's a way to do it in your settings, which I'm gonna start doing that myself. Um, I just wanted to mention one thing. I don't know if I can, but Apple doesn't sell your information to other organizations, by the way. This includes taking photos, asking Siri for directions, or asking it uh, anything or any other types of questions. Um, I don't know if I have any, if because it is your podcast. Can I go over Apple Pay and how that works?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Because I want
no,
to
that's
stress.
the thing. We
please
want to know.
explain that. Please explain that, because
Yeah.
I don't know the concept of that, or I never understand the concept of that and how restaurants use that.
Yeah,
Right.
well,
So
restaurants use Apple Pay. You could use Apple Pay when you're sending money. So it's a really cool system. So yeah, I think a follow up question to what Oscar's asking here. I think for me, sorry to load too much. It sounds really amazing. Apple sounds really amazing in that they do that. But again, I think what makes them so unique? Because every other company, even ones who make hardware, like Google and like Amazon, are so invested in data trading, are so invested in the buying and selling of data and all that stuff. Why is Apple so incentivized not to do so? And how can we transfer that incentive to other companies? I know you're going to say the
Because
model, but there has to be more than that.
Well, it's again, when you buy an iPhone, now you're in the ecosystem. I would like an iPhone, and I'd also like to protect my storage. So here, Apple, have $2.99, have $3 a month, and give me more storage. You're entrenched in the ecosystem. Apple has ways where, you got a new iPhone. Would you like to have a storage plan? Would you like to buy a case? Would you like to, buy Apple Care? Would you like to insure your phone? Right? They have one of the reasons they're so enticed or incentivized to make that decision to just never sell your data is because they don't have to, right? Their products are worth enough, probably more than the amount of data they could sell. Number one. Number two, they already have enough services to provide you that they don't really need or want to sell your data. And number three, it would distort every single other product because, again, as Oscar went over before, they're thinking of privacy when they get that piece of metal to attach to another piece of metal. They're thinking, how do we make this crap private? Right? So one of the main reasons I say that it is incentivized as a company to do it is they have other ways of making profit. They don't need it, and neither does Google or Amazon. But
yeah, that's what I was going to about. Shouldn't Google and Amazon be in the same boat in ways? But they do it anyway.
Google
they
and
do it
Amazon
anyway because
are not proprietary though.
Yeah, but what makes
Exactly.
that the case? What makes that why did they make that choice in the beginning? I guess it's a null and void question, but it's like, why was that the case with them, whereas Apple had started from day one? Hey, I'm going to build
Again,
this
you
whole
have
new
to
ecosystem.
you have to set the precedent. Apple set that precedent that all right, we're gonna provide technology, but we want our clients' info, to be safe and secure. So we'll give them a lot of privacy.
You can't
However,
think of accessibility when the building is already built. Is the vibe of what I'm getting you're saying here. Continue.
no, you can. I think
Once it's
the
built, it's
reason that
built.
once it's built, it's built, but you can make adjustments to the building. It's called remodeling, right? And I think the way Google sees it as, why not make more profit? They don't really care about privacy. I know they say they do because they want to entice their customers to buy their products, right? But they see it as, okay, why prevent ourselves from making more money? Apple does the same thing, but Apple goes, what can we do within our company to make more money? Oh, should we create a new credit card? Sure. Hey, should we create a new workshop? Okay. Because if you think about it, Google and Amazon, they sell your data, right? Because they want to make more money. They don't really care about your privacy, in my opinion, right?
mm-hmm.
And honestly, they don't have a retail store you don't have a Google retail store on Fifth Avenue like you have an Apple retail store. You do have Microsoft stores, but even Microsoft is getting rid of their retail stores. Apple beats them all in retail stores. But another thing Apple did was, hey, how about we do workshops and we extend our Genius Bar where people can see us working on things so that people will come into Apple more and be incentivized to buy more products, right? And I think what it is what companies see as more profitable is my simple answers. Google sells hardware and software, right? But they also see like, okay, we could make billions more dollars if we add more to our services. Hey, but that data market is hot. Wherever the money's hot is wherever companies go. And Apple feels it doesn't need to be a part of that because everybody in their ecosystem is already entrenched. You buy an iPhone, gee, I'd like an Apple Watch. I'd like a silicone case. You buy an Apple Watch. Oh, gee, I want to see what kind of bands they have. Maybe I'll do cellular data. You have Apple TV Plus. People might like some of the shows Apple has. They have on the iTunes store, you can buy movies. Apple Music. I subscribe to Apple Music because I have an iPhone. right away, they're already giving you more and more and more. Think about, Naim, let me put it to you this way. Think about the stock market, right? You invest in AT&T, and AT&T stockholders, the most richest stockholders say, we would like you to put out more devices. And AT&T says, great. How else can I keep my stockholders happy? Dividends, right? You know what I mean? So
yeah, and that's why you see lots of companies buying back stock. It doesn't matter whether stock buybacks are ethical or clean. It's just raising the price of the stock because the supply is lower, so the price goes up naturally, and the
exactly, but
stockholders
it's
are happy.
entrenched.
Yeah.
Right,
Mhm.
but the more dividends the people get, their AT&T could do whatever it wants as long as the money keeps flowing into their pockets. And for Apple, the more services it gives you when you buy that iPhone, the watch, the TV, the Mac, the iPad, whatever it is, they're already going to start saying, do you want a case? Do you want a band? Do you want to purchase storage for your iCloud? Do you want to buy Apple Care? For example, one way Apple started making more money is people are starting to, because the phones are more powerful and the processors are more powerful. What if we make monthly subscriptions to Apple Care? I don't pay Apple Care as a whole. I could, but instead what I do is I pay the $5.99 for my iPad, the $3.99 for the watch. I pay the $14.99 for the Apple or the iPhone. And basically what they're saying is I could go and sell your data, but when we make our products to not allow us to do it would be a waste of time because we can't do it anyway. Number one. Number two, our Apple servers aren't built for that. We'd have to redo everything. And they're not wanting to do that. They have too much in the pipeline in production to ever stop keeping your privacy intact, right? So again, it's how many services they give you. And they're saying, I could make we're not going to distort our products, we're not going to get rid of your privacy. What they're saying is I'm just going to give you more and more and more and more and more when you get a new Apple device, that you're going to be entrenched in our services and you're going to give us money no matter what. So there's no point in buying your buying and selling your data. Apple or Google, Microsoft, and Amazon, they see it as the same thing, but they're like, and you do have subscriptions, right? You can go buy their speaker, and then you can subscribe to Amazon Music, and you can subscribe to this, and that, and you can buy on Amazon, and you can pay your monthly installment for Google Play Store, and you can whatever, or Amazon Prime, right? You can do that. They're still making money that way. But again, I think my simple answer, I'll just go back to that, is wherever the money is and wherever a company sees it fit, that's where they're gonna go.
So I think when this conversation, really seriously gets raised amongst the masses, I'm just trying to look to the future here, and not that I can predict. I think ultimately Apple's going to win the battle. Apple's going to stand out as the protector of our data, as the one who cared for the customer and put the customer before profit. And I think that's going to reflect very positively on Apple in the long term. I am not trying to speak negative of these other companies, but there is a great possibility, if this becomes a mainstream topic amongst everyday consumers, Amazon will implode upon itself. And I was just earlier endorsing Amazon stock, and still do, because Amazon has such a robust ecosystem. But it's just like, I think that something as simple as that is also something as important, and could be the root of some of these big behemoths' downfall if they don't play their cards right, or if things get out of hand 10 years from now. And I want you to talk about Apple Pay. I know we diverted, but that's really cool stuff. Money, and what if someone wants to hack my Apple Pay?
So I wanted to get into that. So I don't know who's going to be the leader in 10 years of privacy. I think it'll be Apple. But again, all the it depends, right? Because other companies are starting to do the same thing. Hopefully they can catch up. But like Microsoft, they are trying to take down Apple, or be equivalent to Apple in terms of its accessibility feature with VoiceOver. Good luck. You ain't doing it. What they're also trying to do, and this will get into screen readers, is take out JAWS and Zoom Text and Fusion, because you got to get them and buy them. And what they're trying to do is, we want to be Apple, make the best accessibility feature like VoiceOver, and take out all these other businesses. Now, in terms of Apple, so do you guys want to know about Apple Pay?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's what you guys
Sorry, I
sounded.
was just consuming some very fresh water that really, hydrates my oral glands. Go ahead.
Oh, hands. Some of the words you say, man, I'm
No.
always like,
He has a very deep
penetrating my
vocabulary.
mind, oral glands. I'm just like, you are a funny boy. Now, I just want to remember that people who listen to this are going to go, well, Samsung does this too. And that's true. That's my girl voice.
So women are more pro Samsung while men are more pro Apple.
No, I'm
That's
just
not true.
because
Are there any
they're
studies
gonna be
on
like,
that? Are there any
I
studies or
don't know if there are any
statistics
studies.
on
I don't
what
know.
women use more and what men use more?
I don't know that. I wish I did. I'm gonna do some research possibly, but so there's Samsung Pay and there's Apple Pay, and they say that Samsung Pay is also as safe as Apple Pay. I've never used it, so I just want to put that disclaimer out there that people do say that it is safer. So the way Apple Pay works. So Apple Pay is Apple's version of Samsung Pay. All right. So Apple Pay is really safe and secure, and it's really easy to use. If you use a credit or debit card to pay for products and services with Apple Pay, they don't keep information about your transactions that can then be tied back to you. Now, what is Apple Pay, you may ask? So Apple Pay is a form of payment. It's a payment method, electronically, virtual payment method used by Apple to submit and make transactions for businesses, for consumers to businesses. So because they don't how do I put this? Because they don't keep your information to then identify you with it when you make a payment, this makes them create a history of your purchases. For example, when you use a credit card, Discover, Capital One, American Express, whatever you're using, they can, US Bank, Wells Fargo, they can then go, okay, well, Jason bought this much in technology, he bought this much in food because he's a fat ass and a fluffy bitch. I'm sorry I'm cursing, but it's just me. But they can create that history of saying, well, he bought this, he bought that, and then tailor ads. Apple can't do that. So if you use Apple Pay, or Apple Pay Cash, I'm sorry, which is basically a virtual payment method, right? It's like a virtual card that you use on your device. Information is only kept for proper purposes like fraud or troubleshooting or anything like that. Now, with Apple Pay, a device-specific number is created to keep all your information safe, and the rest of the device can't even see that information. So none of this information is shared with any merchant. So if I can, I want to expand on that. So how do I put this? So let's say you make a payment on Apple Cash. What your device will do is it has a device-specific number. It takes money from, if you have money on, let's say I send Naim $300 for whatever I owe him. And Naim says, I'm just going to keep that in my Apple Cash. Well, let's say every month he pays for Apple Care and storage and let's just say Apple TV Plus, right? What's going to happen is Naim is going to get charged on the first available payment method that has enough money, right? That has the most in their balance. Apple Pay Cash is basically your virtual cash card. If you guys know, like Apple has their cash card, credit card, debit card type thing. It's basically that, and it creates a specific device number. That device number is then going to transfer that. It's going to be given that money from your card, your cash card, to that device, that device number. So that when you make a purchase at Walmart, Target, McDonald's, Dunkin' Donuts, Coffee Bean, wherever you are, with Apple Pay, if that company gets hacked and live on ABC News, live at 7, Apple or Equifax had a data breach today. 100 million Americans have had their data stolen. Sources say you in that data will be a bunch of Apple Pay numbers. And when a hacker goes, okay, let me use this number. Oh, shoot, that is not accessible. It's null and void. It creates a new device number after you make a purchase. And with Apple Card, you can even make it do that itself. Now, one way Apple Pay keeps your privacy safe is by using differential privacy. So differential privacy is a way that they take all the data you store or send them, and they scramble it up, with like millions of other pieces of data from millions of other people. So, by the way, it might not be millions; it might be billions of pieces of data from millions of people because we all do so much on our phones. We live on our phones, basically. So with this, they can only see general patterns. They can't tell who that information came from. So they can't target you with it. They can't send you ads. They can't send you emails with, oh, you like this emoji, you like that on Facebook, right? They can't see that. This information helps them, find the most popular, I don't know, emoji, or energy consumption rate in Safari, or amount of shows watched on their TV platform, or the amount of times people used Apple Pay or their Apple credit card, and so much more. So that's before I get into FaceTime, because I do want to get into FaceTime. Does anyone have any questions? I know I just threw a bunch of info at you.
So Apple Pay, you go to the restaurant. I took Oscar once to this nice Yemeni restaurant, and we paid using Apple Pay. And I remember Oscar telling me, wait, you're going to use your phone? Because I guess my card wasn't available, or it was declining for some unexplained reason. Oh dear, is that my sound? Anyway, my voice. For some unexplained reason. So I said, oh, no problem. Here, this solves the problem. I whip out my phone, I hand my phone over, and wham bam, it's solved. And I paid, and I think it was a curiosity. It was a discussion, between Oscar and I. It went straight to my SunTrust bank account, is what I had up there. It went into the wallet. It showed the charge, everything. So I think, Oscar had asked me at the time, and I didn't have a suitable answer for him. How is it that the restaurant was able to collect your bill through Apple Pay through your phone without, having your credit card readily available or nothing? They just scanned your phone. It's literally what the restaurant had done, or something along those lines. So how does that happen? What is the infrastructure that needs to be in place for that? And is there any vulnerability or anything like that as a result of said infrastructure?
So, and in terms of that, first off, they get a chip, and the chip is what powers the processor. So the chip is the one that contains all the data, contains all the power, and the processor does too, but it powers it, right? With the ambient lighting, with the battery, whatever, right? And in that chip, what they did was they put in technology. I don't know exactly how to explain it, but they basically put in technology that would let the chip scan credit cards and scan information, virtual device info, so that it wouldn't collect your credit card. Now, how it works is you pull out your phone, and when you double click, it either asks you for Touch ID or Face ID or your passcode. Apple Pay won't work without that. In order for Apple Pay to work, you need your Touch ID or your passcode. What happens is, as I said before, your device will create a device virtual number. I don't know, it could be C632779666881612 2322, right? I don't know. It really tastes like a vanilla ice cream. But, right, it'll create that number. That number contains the money that needs, it acts as a virtual credit card, right? It basically contains the money, right? It contains the money, it pushes it to the restaurant payment system, and that system, because it's a restaurant, is recording your data. But unfortunately, what they're going to find is, oh, they paid with Apple Pay. Obviously, I can't record their card info. So in a way, think about it as like when you got the Apple Watch. We called my brother, right? My brother, or let's use another example. I go to you and I say, Naim, I need $500. I'll pay you back. Da, 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 da. Instead of giving me your credit card, think of yourself as the device number, right? And you say, okay, Jason, here, let me go pull out money. You pull out the 500, you bring it to me in cash, or you give me a check, right? Instead of giving me your credit card where I could then write down your card number, your CVV, your billing address, all of that, all I know is that I got the money. And that's basically how it works. Is a device generated number is then given that money from your Apple Pay Cash or your credit card, and it doesn't give them your credit card number. That device generated number contains the ability to pay that amount for you without sharing that info. And that's basically how they were able to collect that info without compromising your info.
That's really cool stuff. That's really interesting. I don't know if that to a degree answers your question, Oscar, because I remember looking at Oscar dumbfounded, like, I don't know how to answer that question. All I know is I paid for my food, and that was some good hanith I had for dinner. So
Yeah, it does.
So let's tear up FaceTime, because there's lots of good times to be had on FaceTime.
Oscar, do you want to handle that, or?
Just continue because my window is being slow. So,
I see.
Yeah.
So I know this off the top of my head because I study Apple and all of that. So, Naim and Oscar, so when you make a FaceTime call, or you buy groceries with Apple Pay, or even send a message on iMessage, all of that information, is encrypted. So when you use FaceTime, when you use Face ID or Touch ID on your phone, all of that data that is used to identify you is then kept as like mathematical data, which is then encrypted as well using the security features on your device. So your device is made so that when that information is collected, your device is told, okay, now create an encryption, right? So the iOS software or apps can't access that information, and it is not stored on Apple's servers. So for FaceTime, it works the same way. I make a FaceTime call on Naim. It encrypts the server. It encrypts the call. AT&T can't listen in. Facebook can't listen in. Nobody can hack that. It's end-to-end encryption. It protects you, and it keeps your data from being heard. It keeps anything you discuss on FaceTime from being discovered. You could be doing a drug deal. You could be doing a business deal for $1 billion with a business partner, and nobody's going to know about it unless someone is around you, or you have an Alexa listening to it, right? And so that's essentially what FaceTime is. It's encrypted messaging like WhatsApp, right? Skype, if someone wanted to, this goes to Skype servers. So someone could listen to our conversation. If we were to do this on FaceTime, if it could let us record, which I think Apple should do next, how do I explain this? It encrypts the data. So whatever it does capture, the only thing it'll capture again is analytics, right? Did the FaceTime call cut out? How is the quality of the FaceTime? It might even disguise your voice, but it will never ever be on Apple servers to where they can use it, right? And it's crunched up into numbers, all of that.
Yeah. And the cool thing about encryptions, Naim, and I actually thank my cybersecurity studies, is that they use different methods. The encryptions can be different. They for certain characters they can use hashes, and different symbols. So encryptions, what's cool about Apple or whatever, let's say that you're trying to encrypt and you're like, okay, I see a lot of hashes here, but where do the rest of where do these rest of these characters go? It's just data. It's a lot of data, and they're all grouped together. But even though if they're not grouped together, it's all like mumbled. So you got to figure out the right code. So that's something cool about encryptions. I don't know, Jason, if you want to continue. Sorry, I just had to throw that out.
No. And do you know exactly how encryption works? Like what the coding is?
I would have to double check that because there's different ways of encrypting data, or how there. I know that there's hashing, um, and the other ones
What's
can't.
hashing?
Yeah, explain hashing to us, please.
I'll try as best as I can. So
To me, it sounds like a hash brown.
hashing is just like using like different like numeric. It's like a whole bunch of like it's numerical, but like they put like other things. I don't know how to explain it. Like I understand it, I just don't know how to explain it.
Being able to articulate it might be sorry, I was drinking some water. I was actually pouring some water for myself. Being able to articulate it might be more difficult. You have the concept available to you, but it's just like trying to find the words to explain it to us,
exactly.
to us commoners, We're no experts back here, so but yeah, that's really really cool stuff. I'd like to know more about that. Is there more you'd be willing to
Actually, I would.
divulge?
You know what? I was thinking about that. Maybe I should start my own series and talk about cybersecurity and the different
Totally.
terminologies.
Yeah, Naim could do his food series, and you could do your tech
Yeah.
series. Oh yeah, sexy when you
Yeah,
talk
no.
about food.
So we have a nice question here from another viewer, or is there more we wanted to cover here?
Do you want to know how apps are allowed on the App Store?
Yeah, let's learn about profitability of apps and how that works. And
Oh wait, no.
Well, it's
There's
no.
more.
I'm saying that the
Yeah.
yeah. Do you want to know, like, because there's more that's like available when doing research. Like there's more on how apps, even Apple controls their apps, right?
Yeah, for
Controls
sure.
apps
And
that are
their
on
servers.
their phone. So
Yeah.
do you want to take that one, Oscar?
Yeah. So, in order for apps to be allowed on the App Store, developers have some insanely strict guidelines to follow. For example, if any apps wants access to the microphone or anything else, like for example Skype, it has to ask you for permission first. See that's why, you know, you see, say for example, you install Skype or Zoom, for example. You click on it, and what is the first thing you see? uh, you get the alert, or use the voiceover alert. Skype and or Zoom wants to access your microphone and your camera. Do you accept? That's how that works. But if they don't, follow these guidelines, and they can't put their apps on their app store. If they are caught, violating the guidelines, and they don't fix it, they can, and most likely, be removed from the app store.
So what makes how can how is the profits divvied up? Like, how can the app developers profit as compared to the Apple App Store, the Google Play Store, stuff like that?
So, Jason, do you want to do research on that? Just because.
I know exactly what to do.
You know exactly
So
what to do with me, I guess, too, right?
oh yes, I know exactly how to make you go virtual. Anyway. So
you'll have me virtual in no time, just saying something so attractive as that.
I want to control your remote control too. I want to be able to get in your server. I want to double click on your server. I want to get your web links. Anyway,
Hyperlink me right up. Hyperlink me right up.
I want to press your F7, your insert F7. I want to get your things lit.
Not until you insert F1 through F6.
Keep it up, and I'll make you go to F12.
Oh my, we're going full intensity.
Before you have to Alt F4 him out. Before you have to hit that Alt F4.
Maybe I want to see what I'm running, and I'll do a Windows tab.
Or you can just alt tab onto the next best looking guy around town.
You never know. As long as they're virtual.
Anyways, because
let's tear up the App Store while we're at it. All right.
Yeah. So how do they make a profit? How does it work? So, let's take this example. So when a developer puts an app on the App Store, and they go through Apple's guidelines, and Apple says, "All right, do you have all the privacy standards?" "Yes, sir." "All right, here we go."
Is that Tim Cook or who's that?
No, that's just Apple servers. So Tim Cook's like, "It's fantastic." That's how Tim Cook is like. If you just listen to a video of Tim Cook, it's just incredible, beautiful. So let's say you put an app on the App Store. Basically, you're a developer. The developer is going to make a 70% commission from all downloads and uses of their app. And Apple makes a 30% commission. So anytime you download the app, first, I don't know the exact in-depth ways, but it generates a profit. Let's say you download Spotify.
Yeah.
And you subscribe on the App Store.
I don't get the premium version. Well, is it any better?
Right.
Do they still profit if I get the regular?
I think so. Yes, they make a profit either way. Okay. Because I don't know exactly how that works, but I know that they make a profit. By the way, also actually advertisements. All those ads that you see.
I don't know if you guys wrote the same question twice, Jason and Naim. I don't know if you can see that, or if it's. Oh wait, never mind. Never mind.
Another question.
Yeah, no, there are multiple folks who may have sent in multiple similar questions. All right. So explain to us subscribing on the app.
Yeah. So basically, you subscribe on Amazon or Alexa or Spotify or Pandora or Radio.com, TuneIn Radio or iHeartRadio. You see a billion ads every time you hear a song, and then it skips to a new one, whatever. All those advertisers are paying for your app. Basically, it's paying Apple. And then Apple is then turning around and giving 70% of the cut to those companies. Then what happens is when you subscribe, let's say I get on Pandora and I say, you know what? I'm going to subscribe instead of going to Pandora's website, where then Apple does not receive a profit. I'm going to subscribe through the Apple website or through the Apple App Store. When I download it, when I subscribe through the app itself. Well, Apple is then get that entire. Let's say Spotify is like $9.99, $9.95, whatever. Then what's going to happen is that $10 that, let's just round it up to 10, that $10 that Apple's going to get, or that Spotify's going to get, first goes to Apple, and then they split up the 70% of 10, which I don't know what that is, and then Apple gets 30% of 10. So they split it up. Okay, take 100%, take 70%. How much is that? Right? Then take 30%. Okay, that's our amount of money, right? Now this has created a lot of controversy because Spotify is trying to sue Apple, and other companies are too, because what they want is for Apple to forego its privacy policy so that they can allow for apps to email you and other targeted advertisements to get a hold of you, get a hold of your device, get a hold of your account, and send you a bunch of crap and promotions. Apple's like, no, that's against our privacy. It's against our App Store. We're not going to make our Apple servers do that. They're in court right now because app stores want them to, or apps want them to do that. Now, I spoke to a tech friend, Santiago Hernandez, and he says that for some reason, Apple's going to get help from corporations like Google and Microsoft, because if you do that and judges say, okay, fine, go ahead and do that, you open a whole nother Pandora's box, because then what's going to happen? It's going to be a wild, wild thing where everybody's data is going to be compromised. Apple can't do what it wants to as a corporation, as a private corporation, And obviously, as we talked about in our first episode, we know how much companies hate regulation. Essentially, that court case would be a regulation and oversight saying, okay, you have to allow them to do this. You have to change your own company method. And Apple is not going to do that. And if Google helps them, it's because they don't want to have to do that. So, yeah.
That's pretty crazy stuff because I never really thought of it in that light. So so Spotify and Apple, you say that there's some litigation going on between them. Is that why Spotify pulled a quickie one on them and brought Joe Rogan over to them and it's gonna start him on September 1st on their platform? Oh dear, my voice. On
I
their
think
platform.
it's Joe Rogan who did that. Well, Joe Rogan did that, and they're going to give him $200 million, which, holy shit.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Oscar,
like
if I'm
that.
cursing a lot.
He's got
Yeah.
No, you're
Yeah.
fine. You're fine.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's $200 million at once. The problem with Apple Podcasts is I love Apple Podcasts, but as a podcaster, as soon as I put mine on there, Apple doesn't give you analytics. This is how much they care about privacy. They don't give you analytics of here's how many people listen, here's what they listen to the most, this is how long they listen to your podcast. YouTube does, right? But Apple Podcast doesn't give that to the podcast people like Joe Rogan, like, Benjamin Dixon, whoever has a podcast, Abby Martin. And so what Joe Rogan did was, I want to know what the analytics are. So he went to Spotify. Spotify wants to get in the podcast game. And so Spotify said, we'll give you $200 million and we'll also give you the analytics you want. This might be Spotify trying to undertake Apple, undertake the task of overtaking them. I should word my things better. It could also be another competitive way to do podcasts. The thing is that I don't think people would automatically leave Apple Podcasts. For one, I have a few reasons. Number one, people are so entrenched in Apple systems. There's over 200 million iPhones sold a year. I don't know that people are going to want to go, forget Apple Podcasts. We're not going to do it there anymore. Goodbye. They might.
How robust is the Apple Podcast platform as compared to, say, Spotify?
I don't know Spotify's platform.
Compared to Spotify.
There's over 100 million podcasts, possibly.
Wow.
On Apple's own podcasts.
This may be a dumb question as a customer of Apple Podcasts. Do I pay a monthly subscription for it? How does it work? Or is it an annual subscription?
You can when you're on Apple Podcasts, you can search for whatever podcast you want. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but you have to subscribe, right, to each podcast, and you have to pay like a monthly, like $9.99.
No, you don't. Because it's already a native app on the store, right? On the phone. It's you can search for whatever podcast. I have Joe Rogan and I subscribed to it. I'm
Could
not
you do
sure
that for
if
free,
podcasts.
or what is the cost of that? There has to
No,
be a
you
cost
can do it for free.
You
Well, because what you do now. Let me get back to you guys on that one. Maybe on the next series, I'll mention that. Because I know that you can add it to your watch list so that, hey, to your listen now. If you click on listen now, it'll have all the podcasts you want to watch. I think you can subscribe through, like any other app. You can subscribe through the Apple Store. Then Apple will pay that podcast whatever is owed.
By the way,
let me get back to you on that.
All right.
By the way, Jason, you're actually answering two questions in one, because I just looked here at what another listener just asked. What makes data trading so essential to companies' profit margins? Why can't they find another alternative to making money? So if you can talk more about that as well, because again that's more of a 2-in-1 deal with the other question that Naim asked. So
that is. I already went over that.
Oh, you did?
So
yeah, because remember I was talking about
what Jason was. Yeah, Jason was explaining to us the different models of how different companies are set up. But I think this question sort of digs to the question, and I don't know that we have to pose this to the board of directors at these big companies. are there any alternative landscapes they can pursue? How much does data trading impact their profit margins as companies? Is it a big add, a big gain to their profit margins? Do we know?
Yes,
Do they have those
it is.
details from the earnings reports? Mhm.
I don't have the earnings reports on me. I did some research and I forgot to bring them to the podcast today, but I can go over that later. Essentially, if you look at Facebook right now, corporate America is saying, "Hey, we know you're about free speech. We're about that too, but if we keep advertising on your site, on your app, on your Facebook app, whatever, people are gonna, the youngins, they're gonna assume that we agree with racist, xenophobic, homophobic stances. We can't do that." They have lost billions of dollars in just advertisements alone. Mark Zuckerberg himself lost $7 billion. $7 billion, right? And you're thinking, holy frick, that's a lot of money, right? The data obviously right now is not enough to keep them up because Facebook is panicking. Even if the data was enough, right? They make hundreds of billions of dollars a year just in data trading, right? But right, what's happening is it doesn't matter if the data makes more than the advertisements. The fact that they're losing advertisement monetary compensation is huge for Facebook. I think what it is essentially the profit margin and why is it so important is because the company makes it important to its success, right? Apple makes privacy and Apple makes services and hardware important to its success, right? To its profit margins.
So I like to be helpful.
So in a sense, what it is the company sees it as important. That's how it affects their profit margins. Yes, there are alternative ways. For example, Facebook sells advertisements. You can advertise an event. You can advertise products. You can advertise your business, right? You can post an item for sale. You can do all of that. So there are different alternatives. They partner up with different companies. They partner up with Amazon. They've partnered up with Google. So yes, there are other alternatives. A company, just because they do data trading, is not just going to stick with data trading. They're going to go to advertisements. They're going to go to work with Google. They're going to go to work with Amazon. So that's kind of where I can put it that way.
So I think I become hopeful because I see here Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook, for example, being put in a position now where they have to move away from focusing on their corporate, their corporate advertisers or find alternative ways to boost profits. I know that Mark Zuckerberg had a meeting, I think, with the Anti-Defamation League, amongst others, last week. And I know the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, came out saying that from their point of view, the meeting wasn't productive, wasn't beneficial, because Mark Zuckerberg wasn't really willing to budge so much on the concept of, hey, the freedom of speech concepts here on my platform. It's like if we set a precedent here, we're going to have to set a precedent elsewhere. And I think it comes at a time where Reddit had taken down so many subreddits a couple weeks ago, from the Donald, which was a Donald Trump subreddit, to Chapo Trap House, which was a lefty kind of subreddit. And it's funny because Chapo Trap House had more subscribers, 5 times more subscribers to its subreddit than the Donald had. But they had to make sure when taking down the Donald, they also had to take down, because they couldn't, discriminate one point of view, because then the right will say, oh, they're attacking us, OMG, what am I going to do? So they also had to go after the left to appear unbiased. YouTube took down a few further right channels. So I think I identify on the left. I think left-leaning folks, sometimes we want to lead the charge in taking down right-wing hate speech. But we got to remember, if they take them down today, they're going to come after us tomorrow. And you can ask the the OG lefties, you know, the guys who were in there from the beginning, Noam Chomsky, for example, Edward Said, who may he rest in peace, and others who could talk very clearly and very specifically, Chris Hedges, to how just 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30, 40, 50 years ago, they were the ones who were targeted for censorship and a violation or encroachment on their freedom of speech for what they had to say. So, you know, folks like Noam Chomsky are very quick to remind us that we cannot be out here going after freedom of speech on the right when eventually they're going to come back and the pendulum's going to swing back at us eventually too. So what we have to know is, the old saying, I may totally disagree. I may hate what you're saying, but I will defend your right to say it, so long as it's not hate speech that incites violence, right? And I think
I think
Noam Chomsky and Matt Iglesias and many others on the left and the right, J.K. Rowling, all signed an open letter talking about freedom of speech, and how we can't really be fueling this cancel culture. It was a vague letter, but they signed this letter basically saying, hey, we gotta hit the brakes on this whole cancel culture thing. So I think, you know, these are developments that are happening right now, whether it's Facebook's meeting with ADL, Anti-Defamation League, whether it's Reddit and YouTube drama. It's just interesting to see that kind of stuff happening, and how might this impact the future of these companies and how they operate. And I'm hopeful, maybe I shouldn't be, but I'm hopeful that the conversation is finally getting started.
Yeah, I think what's going to happen is where Mark Zuckerberg sees the profits, because, and I know he's like, oh, I don't want to change my mission. Mark Zuckerberg, you've changed your effing mission all the time, so it doesn't really matter. So I think it's where he sees the profits. How much is Facebook going to suffer without those advertisements? Where else are those companies going to go? So I really do think Mark Zuckerberg's got a decision on his hands. And right now, normally he'd be like, hey, you know what? Let's just make a backroom deal or whatever. But right now, the spotlight, because everyone's at home, nobody's working, and there's 45 million Americans unemployed, right? People are broke. They have more time to spy on companies. They have more time to tweet and boycott and all of that. They're going to have to figure out where they're going to go from here, because everyone's paying attention. I don't know what's going to happen, but
yeah,
because
really
for me, it's like, you can say whatever you want, whatever, but at the end of the day, as we're talking about company profit margins and why data trading is so essential, I think they're going to see it as, we need to sell more data. And they're going to switch the algorithms to get more of that data, because they know, oh my God, those billions of dollars that they're out is going to make it so that they're now either going to A, have to sell more data, or B, going to have to do what the ADL wants, Anti-Defamation League. And no matter what Mark Zuckerberg does, he's never going to make anyone happy. He'll make the left happy, but he won't make the right happy. He'll make the right happy, and sometimes he won't make the left happy. He'll make corporate America happy, right, and like Amazon, but not make customers happy. He'll make customers happy, but not Amazon happy. So Mark Zuckerberg's in a tough position, and I absolutely don't envy him, but I also don't give a shit, because Mark Zuckerberg has sold our data. Mark Zuckerberg has been in bed with the CIA and the Pentagon and selling our data. I don't care. And that's the thing, is that Apple, let's just say that Apple got hit and said, oh my God, you're allowing people to spew hateful data. Apple doesn't have to deal with that. Data doesn't drive their profits. Advertisements don't drive their profits. Now, yes, in terms of apps and the App Store, yes, it does. But guess what? Apple sells enough hardware to withstand it, in my opinion. Now, people might disagree and say, hey, they need those advertisements for people who don't pay for the apps. But guess what? I mean, come on.
India banned
Apple saved from it.
India banned TikTok, and now the United States is talking about banning TikTok.
Yes, it is. I did a podcast on that.
Oh, yeah, cool. I should focus on that. Because is that something like, we saw China in the past ban Facebook. We saw China in the past ban other American social media sites. So is it fair? Is it unfair? What are the implications of, say, banning TikTok here in the United States? And what message does it send to folks who do lots of data trading? Because ultimately, the source of why we're thinking about that is because we're wondering whether TikTok is trading our data with the Chinese government. You could say it sends messages to China, but I'm more concerned with what message does it send to the social media community and the leaders in social media outside of TikTok.
So, Jason, do you want to maybe play a clip of that, of your thoughts on that, and then just so that way you don't have to end up repeating yourself?
It's a 6-minute podcast. I can find the clip I want to play.
So
you want to go
set it up. You could set it up while I ask about. Have another question from a viewer to give you time to set it up.
Yeah, and it would be the last question as well.
Yes, because we had someone else send in an App Store question, but Jason sort of answered it. So speaking of penetrating things, this viewer wants to penetrate iPhone. So we have a question here asking, did the FBI's ability, so we know the FBI does penetrate, does the FBI's ability to penetrate an iPhone expose vulnerabilities in Apple's privacy protocol? Did it expose vulnerabilities in this great garden that's walled, this great ecosystem that Apple has set up? And what vulnerabilities did it expose? Does it tell Apple, oh man, we have to go back to the drawing board and correct some flaws where they are? And do they know the flaws? Would they know the flaws?
Okay, so yes, because in breaching, in breaching that, within penetrating them, with them penetrating and finding flaws, it opened so many doors to other hackers. It gives hackers motivation to different attacks like backdoor attacks.
Oh man, they opened the back door.
So if for our viewers that don't know what backdoor attacks, what it is you find an access point that's vulnerable, and you target that access point to a point where you can poke a hole, and that's how you can get into the computer or the system. And once with the FBI, with them breaking into Apple's privacy settings, that ultimately can open up, again, what I mentioned before, hackers wanting to finally, oh look, Apple's not as proprietary as they think. If the FBI can do it, I can do it too. I just need to find where their weakest spot is, target that, and I'm in, and I can control anything I want.
So has Apple publicly addressed this? Have they commented on whether the vulnerability has been addressed? I know they probably won't give too much information because then they could be exposing their vulnerabilities. But have they said, hey, we're looking into it? Do they even know the vulnerability? Do we not have an answer to that? And did this evolve into a court case or anything like that?
So so I read on this before. I would have to look up the article again. I came across it a few weeks ago. They did have a court case where I think they were trying to settle a court case. That ended up with, because the FBI's main argument is we need Apple's privacy settings because of I forgot what the issue was, but Apple was saying no, we need to protect our customers, and I think the FBI didn't take too kindly with that. So like what I said, I guess their never say die attitude on trying to break into Apple privacy settings led to a court case. Again, I would have to double check on that because again I stumbled across it a few weeks ago and see what the details are, and I guess we can bring that up in our next on our next episode.
That's really cool. So who was the fashionable criminal who had an Apple iPhone, that had opened this whole can of worms?
They didn't specify.
Oh, okay, yeah. That I figured they probably wouldn't, but it just be a curious question because if a viewer is sending this question in, it must be a very real thing, and it just got me curious because I didn't even know that there's some there are some hot dogs between the FBI and Apple. I mean, the FBI is a big fish in a pond, and so is Apple. So, when they're biting at each other's fins, then tells us there's something going on back here. So, that's really cool stuff. Jason, I don't know. Are you much of an FBI v Apple type guy? Are you on? Do you have the inside scoop on all that? Because I know you're probably typing away, getting all your studio stuff set up.
Yeah. I had to get in my podcast studio, as you're gonna hear right now.
Yes.
I think you can hear I'm in my studio. I personally, from what I remember from the case, I remember Apple was basically saying, guys, if we allow this, that's opening a can of worms that I don't want to open. That's basically letting them, it opens a door for them to just do whatever they want, whenever they want, and forget your privacy. And we're not about that. Apple was willing to go to court and say, guys, I don't want to give them user data. Are you kidding me? So that's how far Apple's privacy goes. They were willing to be sued by the FBI. Oscar, can you explain what backdoors are? Because I'm not sure I understand it right. Just while I get the clip ready.
So what it is so what you do or what a person does is they look in for an access point, a weak access point, and they target that weak access point. And then once they, get a hold of that access point, they try to like rip a hole per se. I'm going to use that analogy. They punch a hole into that access point, and then that's how you can, get in to and then you can create a door per se, a door that no one knows. No one will know that you installed the back door. So you can come in or out whenever you please, and no one will know that you're stealing your information until it's too late. That's the cool thing about backdoor attacks is that once you install that, or you get that, once you're in, no one will know that you're in because you don't know where it's coming from per se, or where that person opened that door.
Wow, lots of penetrating backdoors over there. So I know, Jason, you wanna enlighten us on TikTok.
Yeah, that is some scary shit right there. Sorry, but that is
yeah.
That is crazy. Kind of scary. So the clip I'm gonna play. Can you guys tell I'm in my podcast studio talking to the booth?
Yeah.
Your voice quality is really
Sexy.
good, by the way. I need some
Thank
tips
you.
and tricks. Do you have any equipment you'd like to endorse?
No, I don't. Not at this time. It's just my own little makeshift studio that I built that gets rid of echoes. So the clip, you guys had a question about TikTok. What was it exactly?
So
the U.S. is seeking to
before Naim asked the question, my phone's at 36%, so I guess this will be the final topic, I guess, before we wrap up, because again I don't want to lose the recording depending on how long this conversation takes, but just know that this may be the last topic that we'll cover.
Okay, so I guess TikTok, right? India banned TikTok. India is the second most populated country in this world after China, where TikTok was founded. And the United States, I guess, got inspired. There's some arguments as to whether it's really data or whether it's Trump's narcissism getting in his way, because TikTok teens basically crashed his Tulsa, Oklahoma rally. But regardless, what message, if this goes through, does this send to other big social media giants in terms of data and data trading? I know the politicians just want to narrowly focus on the fact that TikTok will be trading this data with the Chinese government. But I think there's a broader societal question. If we don't want our data traded with the Chinese government, why would we want our data traded with private companies and private corporations? What makes them any holier than, say, the Chinese government? And maybe that question on the offset may sound a little facetious, a little ridiculous, but I think if you really think of it, the Chinese government's horrible. But private corporations are also beholden to profit, beholden to money making. And sometimes money making leads humans to do things that other humans don't want done with their personal and private data. So what message does this send to other social media giants? And what message does this send to TikTok and China?
So this is basically what I covered in my clip. Wow, I sound good. That's part of what I covered in my clip, which was the U.S. cares about privacy. My ass. They're allowing corporations to sell our data, collect our data, target us with advertisements, handing it over to law enforcement and to FBI agencies and all of that. So now look, they're also doing the Muslim registry in the early 2000s, the Patriot Act, the Internet Browsing Amendment added to it. I cover all of that in my clip, so check it out at Political Podcast. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to shout out my own podcast, but
yeah, you can.
So this clip that I'm about to play, the message that it sends, I'm not sure exactly what message it sent. I think what it sends is, and the clip that I'm about to play is going to explain this. China is trying to buy out our corporations and control American business. And I think what it's sending is, don't try us. But this is about 3 minutes. I'm not sure if I can play this because I really get into this.
Again, this is our last topic for the day, or for this episode. So you can go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So showing this. So this is where I talk about the geopolitical message that it creates for China and other social media companies. The one thing I'll say is, I think for social media companies, it basically says, be careful who you're working with. Be careful, because governments aren't afraid to act. So this is a topic that I cover. Let me go ahead and play the clip here. Let's see. All right. So now they're trying to buy out the NBA, trying to control it, trying to control American sports, American movie theaters, the cinema, trying to buy out these companies. And then, to control what you see, what you don't see. And then, there's another side. When the hell does the U.S. care about our privacy? I'm serious. I'm deadly serious. When does the U.S. government go, oh my God, privacy of our citizens? Look at the Patriot Act. They just included an amendment for internet web browsing spying. I mean, come on. They don't care about it. They're like, I'm a Chinese. Look, I am concerned about the Chinese government using our data. I am very concerned about that. I'm pretty much on that side. But I can say the U.S. has to stop being hypocrites, because, yeah, they seek to ban TikTok. It seeks to ban TikTok. But for privacy, you could come up with something else. Look, and that's why military people can't really use TikTok, because security, right? And look, you do have a lot of your info on your phone. Most of us live on our phone pretty much. Our life story is on our phone. So if the Chinese government takes that, now they've got control. But I think that the U.S. needs to stop being hypocritical. And if they're seeking to punish China for the coronavirus, for whatever, they need to punish these other companies that are taking our data and all of that. So we might be saying goodbye to TikTok. So in a sense, what I say in that clip is, if the U.S. really, truly cares about our privacy, I think the one thing they might as well do is pretty much say, I got back in the microphone. What they pretty much should do, I think the message this should send to corporations is, you need to stop selling your data, because your customers' data, because you might ban TikTok because they're giving our data to the Chinese government. So is Facebook. So is Facebook. So is Twitter. So is Instagram. All of them. All of them are doing it. I know I'm getting animated, but it just pisses me off. You're going to ban TikTok because the Chinese might be getting our information. Yeah, that is the case. Because there's no such thing as a private corporation. Yeah, you can do whatever you want to. You can do your daily practices are private. But when Xi Jinping tells you to do something, you better get on your knees and do it. There's no such thing as private corporation like there's here in the United States, right? There's more oversight and control. But don't complain about, oh my God, they're selling it to the Chinese. Your companies do the same thing. So I think the message it sends to corporations is, oh, shoot, they can do this to us too. But they won't because we give them money. That's exact. Or what it's going to send is, oh, fine, you're going to do that. I'll either A, buy out your American companies, or B, I'll limit your American companies that can even work in our country or provide service to our country.
So I think for me, I always like to analyze it from the business point of view. We see, and I know tech is a different beast to tackle here, but I think we see, like TikTok right now, one of their top executives is a guy who moved over from Disney, the guy who I think had also really launched the whole Disney Plus infrastructure for Disney. And you see many big American businessmen. You see the NBA being connected to, say, China. But if the United States is going to ban, say, a Chinese company, does that mean American private corporations are going to be more careful in terms of making sure they don't do as much data trading, or does that mean they'll be more willing to provide our data to the American government, because the American government is saying, look, we're gonna put halts on people who provide your data to the Chinese government. But does that mean they're also kind of saying, but private corporations, if you'd like to give us your consumers' data, we will gladly take that. Like, what does that mean? And I know every corporation is going to approach this differently. Every corporation is going to perceive this differently. But is this gonna send a more long-lasting effect, or is everything just going to be business as usual? Oh, hey, TikTok sort of got banned here just as much as Instagram or Facebook got banned in China, because that's what did happen in China with Facebook, for example. That's already happened a couple years back. Yeah.
Right. They banned Instagram and they were going to ban Facebook, and part of it was Facebook is the owner of Instagram. They bought it for $1 billion. It's now worth $1.2 billion. It's now worth $100 billion, right? So there you go. It's tied to the company value. But I think what's going to happen is, personally, in my opinion, Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, they're all going to keep doing the same exact things. Nothing's going to change. They're not worried about the American government limiting them because they donate to the American government. They're not donating to the Chinese government. They are going to sell your data to China, which proves that the U.S. is not that interested in privacy, because if they were so interested in privacy, then they would ensure that Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram never sold your data to China, but they do. And one of the ways they do it is they sell it to the Pentagon. The Pentagon then takes your data and gives it to China. Oops. So, and ICE and the CIA and the NSA, all of that. And a lot of government servers are easy to hack because they got dumbasses working in the government. That's what government is, a bunch of dumbasses. So I think that's what's going to happen is companies are just going to do what they do. It's going to be business as usual. I think what other countries might do is ban our companies. Or if you're an empire like China, how they're rising. And you might want to check out my clip from last night, which, well, actually I haven't posted it, but on Monday there's going to be a clip about how we put out of the WHO, and it's giving the empire of China to rise and rise, ability to rise and rise and rise. What's going to happen is they are going to come take control of our companies and say, fine, you really want to do that? Don't do it. I wouldn't dare you. And actually in the clip, Naim, that I showed, and Oscar, if I can send you the link to that,
Yeah.
video so that your viewers check it
I
out.
think
And
you
Naim
did. I think you did send it to me. I think you did.
I
I
think
would
so,
have to
but
double
just so
check.
you're putting up the
Send
wrong
it
one.
again just
But
in
basically,
case.
the
Yeah,
guy,
send it again.
yeah, exactly. The guy who they got for Disney Plus, the reason they're doing that is because they're starting a big lobbying campaign to try and get the American government to not ban them. To say, look, one of your guys is working with us, so obviously we belong there. So that's basically what's going on.
So
And I talk about that in my podcast.
yeah. So it's all a PR thing, but I think I don't know. Maybe I like to overcomplicate everything. I feel like this is gonna send, in a weird way, a double standard message. It's gonna send a message to these private corporations that they should start giving more of our data to the American government. I don't know if it's gonna establish a double standard, or maybe I'm being a cynical, pessimistic, negative person here, but I worry about a
No,
double
it is.
standard.
There's going to be a double standard. They're gonna still give it to the American government. These companies, because they donate to the American government and because they're so deregulated, are liable to the American government in some way or another. Not all the way, because they can still do whatever the hell they want. But when the American Federal Bureau of Investigation says we want this data, most companies except Apple are going to go, okay, here. So I do think there's going to be a double standard, which is what I argue in my clip. I don't know if you listened to it, but when I played it, I said, okay, do you care about privacy? Then control your own companies. Don't just be hypocritical and ban TikTok because it does that exact thing you're talking about. I think and not control your own. Control your own too. But I think the reason they're mad at China is because this company is directly in China and they're liable to China, whereas Facebook isn't. And there's workarounds,
like
right?
Tencent, Baidu, all these other companies that are in China. China's banned Google, I believe, for their own search engines, and now we're throwing sanctions on Huawei and ZTE and all these other Chinese companies. So it's more just battle of the governments than it is really battle of corporations competing for each other. And corporations, as private as we'd like to think they are here in America, they are beholden to the government to a degree, and the government is beholden to them to a degree, given all the corporate money and lobbying that goes to the government. I think this is why, and I think this is my concluding point on this topic, and just on a broader topic here. This is why, and I support Chris Hedges in his analysis here, that local capitalism works, regional capitalism works. Corporate capitalism is when capitalism has gone too far and eventually it consumes itself. All capitalism is going to expand and grow, sort of like a cancer in ways, and it's going to eventually self-destruct. It's going to eventually, there's nothing left to consume but itself, and it sounds like that's the stage at which they've come, because TikTok is going to be banned here, and then our companies are going to get banned in those other countries, and data is just going to become a big pool for sale to the highest bidder, and it's just going to become a big global mess, and eventually all of them are going to collapse. All the dominoes are going to come down, whether it's now or whether it's in 2200. But it's all going to just come pouring down on us like a great monsoon storm. So the typical fisherman in the village, or even like Chris Hedges says, the regional capitalism. Penny capitalism is the local stuff, and then the regional capitalism, which is, say, the United States doing its commerce within its borders. That stuff always eventually grows into corporate capitalism, and that's why that consumes itself. And I think that's where big tech is headed. It's headed to a point where it's going to eventually, they're all going to just consume each other and cannibalize themselves.
Jason, last remarks.
I don't know. I don't know where it's gonna go. It's gonna be tricky, and I can't wait to watch it. I'm just happy this conversation was more organized than the last one, and I appreciate you guys giving me shout outs on 2 podcasts. Well, this podcast now with mine. Interesting tech conversation. I wonder what's next, because I think we've dragged out tech privacy for 3 episodes now.
Yeah, I know.
There's more to discuss. We could talk about other aspects of tech. I know there's some stuff we already touched on that we want to talk about in future episodes. We can talk about. I don't know that there's much really to talk about. But battle of the corporations. How are these corporations
I think you
really
cut out.
actually going out at each other? It's interesting to study that stuff. Political podcast is one of the best podcasts I've checked out so far by Jason. Sorry, I'm moving some stuff here, some papers. But you guys should definitely check out Political Podcast by Jason Alamillo. We're hopefully, if you're fine with it, Jason, we look forward to having more tech talk segments with you. Is that fine?
Yeah, absolutely. And food talk and
yeah, of
sports
course,
talk,
tech
all of
talk
it.
and sports talk. I love sports talk, and food talk, of course, is upcoming.
Oh, food talk we have to have. Oh yes.
I look forward to trying your meals.
Anyways, Jason, where can people find you?
Use your spatula. You don't want to get your spoon too. You can find me at I'll send you the link, Oscar. You can post it in the description. The link that you're gonna see from my YouTube channel is gonna take you directly to that video, and you can subscribe through there. Turn on your post notifications so you never miss a video of mine. It's called Political Podcast, and make sure you put when you go and do your search on YouTube, if you search it, you filter it so where you put channels, and then you'll see Political Podcast. You can also find me on Twitter at FluffyJA97, at FLUFFYJA97. And then on Instagram, it's the same username at FluffyJA97. You have those links, Oscar, or do you need me to send those to you again? Or are you good?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So yeah, that's where people can find me. And if you do want to DM me and message me there, great. I also teach assistive technology, which is technology for people with disabilities. It's the same technology every one of you folks use, but with added softwares. If you're sighted or blind and you want to know how to use them, I charge $10 an hour. Go ahead and DM me on any Twitter or Instagram or on YouTube, or my email is leadership, LEAD as in dog, ERS as in Sam, HIP, J as in Jack, B as in boy, A as in apple, at gmail.com, leadershipjba@gmail.com, and that's where you can find me, all those goodies.
Naim?
I think a really good upcoming Tech Talk segment should be on assistive technology, on the different forms of assistive technology, and braille displays versus screen readers, the variety of screen readers, voiceover, JAWS, and VDA. So I think we should plan something like that. If not in our next segment, definitely in a future segment coming soon. I love to share long and drawn out, meaningful, pleasant discourse with folks. So I always welcome emails. Please feel free to email me. NM is the abbreviation for New Mexico, or it's my first and middle initials, pardon. So NM ABU Abu EL HAWA at gmail.com. Once again, that's NMABUELHAWA at gmail.com. NMAbulhawa at gmail.com. As you guys know, my name is Naim Muawiyah Abulhawa, and that's where that derives.
I'm Oscar
and by the way,
oh, yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, just one quick question. Do you answer more on email or text message? I'm genuinely curious. If I have to email you, I will.
Text message.
A text message I answer quicker, but email, because I like to have deep conversations with folks, email is where I would like to have that. Unless you're going to call me, and I don't know if I should really be putting my phone number out for the whole world to hear. So
you should. So, I'm Oscar Montiel. You can find me on Twitter at OscarJMontiel37. You can email me at OscarJMontiel37@gmail.com. Last name spelled Montiel. Again, I have a YouTube channel, Oscar Josue Montiel. I should think of posting things on there. I just haven't. For those of you that are still new to us, you may still see our first 4 episodes on there. But again, the No Nonsense Podcast channel is where we post new content. I'll put the description of both my channel and the No Nonsense podcast channel and the political podcast channel in the description below. Until then, guys, this was the No Nonsense podcast. We will see you guys next time.
Tech Talk with Jason Alamillo. Thank you, fam, and thank you, Jason, for coming on this evening.
Of course, yeah.